This is for the players.
I'm Ryan Betson, and this is For the Players, the PopCulturists PlayStation podcast. Over 40 years of playing PlayStation and 8+ years in that games media combined, we thought we'd throw a hat into the ring and join that PlayStation conversation. You can find us every morning at 9 a.m. on YouTube at youtube.com/thepopculturists. And if you want to, you can listen to it on all your podcast services at 8 a.m. on the exact same day. That's iTunes, that's Stitcher, and a bunch of other ones. If you want to join the conversation, you can head over to Facebook, at the Facebook community group, facebook.com/group/thepopculturists. And if you really like what we do, head over to patreon.com/popculturists, where you can support us with throw a little bit of coin. And if you are, like some of the magical people are right now, they're joining me live as I record this. And if you want to show the love of PopCulturists on your body, head to thepopculturists.com/shop, where you can buy shirts like this, phone covers like this, and a bunch of other random stuff. Now, as you may have noticed once again, that spiel was all me. There is no one else in this room. So, I had a conversation with Josh yesterday, a very short one. So we've been doing the PopCulturists for like 4 years at this point. Literally almost every day, or at least every week, for the better part of 4 years. And that takes a little bit of burnout. Now, our circumstances have changed in that time quite a lot. So, like I got a son, I got married, and then Dylan, same thing. He met his partner, so he has now more kids. Josh has had kids since forever, but he's recently changed careers. He's now has full custody of his son, so he spends majority of the time with him. So we've had to shuffle things around accordingly, and one of the things we had to do was bring For the Players to be recording on a Saturday morning. Now, it's been almost 80 weeks of recording non-stop every Saturday morning. Now, I have the luxury, it's in my house, but, it takes a chip out of my time as well. But Josh does have to hike a good 30 minutes on a Saturday to come here and do it. It does take a bit hunk of his day, and he's feeling the burn. And I get it. I felt the burn many, many times while doing PopC, just all the time. But so what he's going to do, he's going to take a small sabbatical. He'll be out for a couple of weeks. He's just going to take some time to chill out, center himself, have a good time, and hopefully he'll come back. In that time, we will still continue to do this show as per normal. As I said, like this week, I'm just doing it by myself. Next week, we'll be at PAX, so I'll be joined by Joel Grelton of Anygame. He will be doing our episode PAX debrief with us. Now, that episode may go up a day late, with us being absolutely frantic from the Thursday to the Sunday. We won't really have time to the regular episode recording time, so that will likely go up. On Tuesday at 9 a.m. Now, after that, we'll go from there. We'll kind of have a bunch of rotating guests. Some people I have on the plans are Paul James from Player 2, Buddy Watson, and Dash from Dash Culture. I'll try swing old Dave Chataway. He's been out in the weeds for a while. We'll get him to come back, and we'll probably grab some other friends of mine, depending on how long Josh is out for. He did say it'll probably only be a couple of weeks, but I need to, be sure. But anyways, it's like the point I'm trying to get at, like, we'll do the very best to continue the show as we normally do for those couple of weeks. It will also follow the same format and whatnot, but it will be different. There really is something. There is a dynamic that Josh and I have, that Josh and I bring to this show. And it's very noticeable even for me when he's not here. We've been friends for for almost 5 years now, nearly half a decade, and like we work well together. We work incredibly well together, and I can't wait for him to come back in this seat and keep going talking PlayStation, because there's no one I'd rather do it with. But we'll give him some time, let him chill out, and we'll go from there. But anyways, So in the chat, I know so far we have Paul James, we have Joel Graldson, and we have James Waters from Nerds in Places. I might get him into the show at some point as well. But yeah, so these guys have been awesome enough to be A, Patreon supporters, and two, to come help me in this lonesome show that I am doing. We'll try to hit the usual beats, and we'll go from there. So we'll kick things off like we always do with what we've been playing. My week has been pretty chill, actually. I think I've only really played 2 games. The first one being, to the surprise of no one, WWE 2K19. I am still really enjoying that game. What's that? So Joel's in the chat and says, Ryan, Josh Saunders, there's no one I'd love to do it with. There's no one else I'd rather get friendly with than that Josh Saunders. But yeah, so what I've been focusing on here with WWE 2K19 is the My Player mode. The My Player mode is fucking awesome. Like, it's really, really good. Like, I'm enjoying it so much. One thing that I've taken away is from previous previous single player that I remember you would have to talk to other wrestlers, but there would be no voice acting. It'd be all dialogue driven. It'd be all very like JRPG written dialogue stuff, and that's still there when you're doing your your promo, when you cut a promo and whatnot, but it's a little bit different, so there's actually a voice actor, there is a story. They've tried to not go down a serious path. It is very silly. You're playing a wrestler, so no matter who you play, whatever your character, you will be known as Buzz. You were a wrestler that started in high school gymnasiums, wrestling random dudes, and then a scout for NXT comes, and they find you, they like you, and they want to bring you on. However, just after you get your contract from Triple H, you walk out, you get jacked in the alleyway, and then you crumble, and then it's all about you bringing your way back up to a place to get into WWE, I assume. I'm probably, I think there's 13 chapters or something, and I'm up to about chapter 5. The one thing that I've noticed so far in the My Player, and there are some matches that are quite easy, really easy to to get the win on, but there are some difficult moments, like when you have there's a lot of inspiration from other wrestling in here. So one of the things they do is the WCW invasion. So where back in the day, Triple H went in to a WCW match and was like, yeah, woo, and caused a bunch of ruckus and then bounced. You do that in here as well. You run in, you cause a ruckus, and then you get hit with 3 different matches. So 3 waves of people. However, your health doesn't regen over those 3 matches, so you can get pretty fucking monstered. And that's what I did. That took me way too many goes. And then another time, and then after that, you'll get invited to come onto NXT to fight a chosen wrestler, and you go from there. So you end up fighting the dude that jacked you in the alley at the start. He has a gnarly finisher, and that just keeps ruining me. Like, I can't seem to get past him, and that one has probably given me the most grief. But I still am really enjoying it. It's a great game. I think it's great because I'm kind of on that hype train still for WWE, probably to my own detriment, because I am watching a lot of wrestling. I am watching the weekly shows, playing the game. Excuse me. So I'm not like in on it. I'm not like living this 24/7 WWE life, but I'm enjoying it, and it's good to it's good to find something new to enjoy. So like with games, like I said before, we've been doing this for 4 years now. Like, games are still fun, but they're still work at the same time. And now that my day-to-day job is literally me playing games, yeah, it's draining. You still enjoy games, but you don't approach them the same way. So having wrestling as a new entertainment outlet, I guess, is really cool for me. It's giving me something new. It's a little nostalgic because it's reliving some old interests. I'm just liking it a whole lot right now. I'm someone that tends to like fixate on something for a really short burst of time, so it's very likely I will drop it and then not give a fuck anymore. I hope I don't. I really don't. But what I've also been playing, Call of Duty Black Ops 4. So I've been playing I played a little bit of the multiplayer mode, which is more of the same. It feels no drastically different than previous Call of Duties. One thing I keep saying duty because I like saying it funny. There are some old school maps in there, and one of the distinct one I remember is Firing Range from Black Ops 1. So there is that nice little bit of nostalgia as well, sort of playing on old maps that I really enjoyed back in the day. It's really good because it's fun to go, oh cool, I remember this map, I remember what those key points are, but because there has been so many drastic changes since Black Ops 1, you have to kind of approach that level differently, because now you can do the fancy jumps and all the slides, and there's all these different ways of going around it. I have also been diving back into the blackout mode. There are some minor improvements that I've instantly noticed compared to the beta. Sort of some of the finicky stuff like the armor and whatnot. Yeah, I'm still getting wrecked whether I'm wearing armor or not. So I've not noticed I've dropped as many people if they're wearing armor. Don't know. There's some slight animation changes with how you land and how you come in, which is really nice. Previously, you would just drop and then you'd be standing up. With this way, so you can sort of like scoop in and drop, which is a very small touch, but it's nice. I'm playing on a PS4 Pro, so it's running relatively well. According to Digital Foundry's video, it isn't running at full 4K. It does kind of flux, a bit more of a dynamic resolution, and it does maintain its frame rate most of the time. I've not had too many hiccups. It's certainly not unplayable by any stretch. I think with some additional patches, it will have an advantage. One little feature we discovered at work by accident, we thought was really, really cool, is that you can actually play duos locally. So, most games don't have couch co-op anymore, and that's to no surprise. But, you can play duos on Blackout on the one console. There are some performance hits for it, of course. Now it kind of almost goes into like a 4:3 ratio where it divides by 2. So that way you're not getting like the smushed or stretched out widescreen, which is really a real big plus. Because like we were playing Borderlands a couple weeks ago, and it just straight up zooms in, so it's mush, and it's really tough to actually see what's going on. Let's see. Joel jumps in. He says it's so that they can release Call of Duty Black Ops 4K down the line. Oh, that would be a good play on words. That would be a good release. See, excuse me. One thing I've been thinking of as well with Call of Duty, especially now with the Blackout mode and the success of the Blackout mode, as they move into the next games and next generations and whatnot, like, is this something they're going to have to, are they going to upgrade it? I think we talked about this before. Are they going to upgrade it every year? Are they going to sort of make it like an ongoing support? I'm not too sure. Now, we did have some questions from the community as well. I think one of them was about Battle Royale. I cannot find it. Oh, here we go. No, that's a different question. But it's in about Battle Royales, but not directly to Call of Duty. So my bad. I remembered that wrong. But yeah, so look, I'm enjoying Call of Duty Black Ops 4. I think it's pretty tight. It's certainly a well-made game as always. If you jump into like the specialists tutorials or explaining how these characters work and fit, the game is visually stunning in some ways. Like some facial animation, especially in that cutscene, is actually quite astounding. And I know people give shit to Call of Duty all the time, and we'll get to some of that in the news. But like the tech behind it is really, really good. Like there's some quality looking graphics in there, especially in the pre-rendered cutscenes. Now imagine with their teams of thousands of people, it's probably why it looks as good as it does. But I'm really, really enjoying that game, and I think that's about it. I've played this way. So with no further ado, let's move into the news in a section we call Inform the Players. We tell you about the PlayStation news that happened this week. Now, I have collected 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's about 10 different bits of news in there, but 3 of them are all bundled together. Joel says, Call of Duty was such a groundbreaking thing when COD 4 released. It revolutionized the first-person shooter, and I know many are disappointed this time that they have followed trends and stopped setting. That's one of the biggest things about Call of Duty Black Ops 4 is Call of Duty used to be the one game that everybody wanted to be. Everyone wanted to be Call of Duty, and now Call of Duty is wanting to be everybody else. Because Call of Duty, they kind of made themselves into a corner, and especially with annualization. Granted, 3 studios, so it's not really annualization, but they are stuck in a very set path, and they forced themselves into that path, and it was very tough for them to break out and move across. And that's a bit of a downside. I can hear my son, and he's going to break in, but let's hope he doesn't. All right, kick things off with the news. We've got number 1, and it's all about PAX Oz, because I don't think I mentioned at the start. Hi, James. What are you doing? Oh, you got a drink bottle. Hi, Mum. Can you please remove your child? Hey, bud. You want to say? You can't. It's not an episode of the show unless he comes in and says hi. Hi, bud. You want to say hi to everyone? That's his DC Superheroes drink bottle. All right. You want to read some of the news with me? All right, let's kick this off. PlayStation Australia PlayStation Australia was excited to announce this week that players will get to experience some of the most anticipated games coming to the PS4 as well as PlayStation VR at this year's PAX. With over 40 playable stations, Aussie gamers will get to experience some of the PlayStation Australia is the biggest booth to date, and the most playable opportunities it's ever had. There's hands-on opportunities with Dreams, Media Molecule's big upcoming game, Resident Evil 2 Remake from Capcom, and Spyro the Reignited Trilogy from Activision. There is also Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, the newest from Software. Hi, bud. Knowledge is Power, which is the PlayLink game, Gym Party, which is a newer PlayLink game, and in the VR space we get Sony London's Blood and Truth, which I don't know a lot about, but Sony London did amazing with PSVR Worlds and the heist setup in that game. Very, very cool. As well as Ace Combat 7 and the much anticipated Beat Saber. What do you think, bud? What are you going to check out? Do you have peanut butter in forehead? I don't know. And we also mentioned that Ubisoft will be bringing, it's already released, Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Starlink Battle for Atlas, as well as the upcoming Division 2, Trials Rising, and Just Dance 2019. Joel says, just saying, it's the biggest PS booth ever because they've had to call in their third-party friends to fill the booth because Dreams and PlayLink can't quite cut it on its own. That's what I agree with. One of the big things about this booth is, as you mentioned, they have brought in a bunch of guys that would normally have their own space, like your Capcoms, like your Activisions. So it's a little bit cheating to fill it out that way, but what I'm hoping in the big corner of one of those booths is Days Gone. Now, there is some news we'll get to about Days Gone in a minute, but I do hope that they are going to do a sneaky bring that in like they did last year with Detroit. What are you doing, bud? You want to head back out? All right. There you go, buddy. Go to mommy. Go to mommy. Hey, dummy catch. What? You mommy? He's going to run straight back in. You're going to have to... Oh, bye, buddy. Joel says, not confirmed. It's not confirmed to not be there. We just know that it may not. So we did ask, or Joel asked, we asked a couple people, and they've neither confirmed nor denied that it's going to be there. They just said keep an eye on PlayStation's Twitter accounts, social media, so keep an eye on them. We might hear something, but that may have been due to another bit of news. But I'm really excited for PAX Oz. I can't wait. I'm keen as just keen, super keen. So I will be there from Friday to the Sunday. I'll be there every day. Now Josh won't be attending for the reasons I mentioned earlier. Dylan should be coming with us. I think he'll be there on the Friday and potentially the Saturday. So he'll be running around with us, which is cool. And yeah, so we'll be around. Now, I forgot to mention, I'm going to be on a panel this year. So on the Saturday at 8 p.m, I will be on the party mode panel with a bunch of the Australian Gaming Podcast Network guys. That includes Game Train, 8-Bit, Bitstorm. There's a bunch of people, a bunch of Australian podcasters, really cool dudes, and we're all battling it out like in a nice big tournament style. I'm garbage at games. I don't know why they asked me, but I'm happy to take it. I don't mind. It should be fun. So yeah, come see us there. And if you do happen to see us around, come say hey. And I do know that Jess is also organising a catch-up, a community catch-up at some point. So if I'm not busy or they have an appointment, I'll try to swing by that too. But not that mouse, get to the other computer. So speaking of Days Gone has been delayed. Moving from its original February 22, 2019 date, Sony Bend have decided to push it back 2 whole months to April 26, 2018. And I have a couple of theories here. Number one, February 22 is bloated as fuck. With Anthem, Metroid Exodus, Crackdown 3, Dead or Alive 6, and Dirt Rally 2, there is a lot going on there. Granted, Days Gone would likely hold up to a majority of these titles, excluding probably Anthem and Metro. It's still a messy date. But moving it 2 months forward, that seems like a weird decision to dodge a couple of releases. They could have moved it forward and simply got the jump on the others. Number 2, this game isn't doing well. A common consensus is that there is something wrong with Days Gone. However, it could be it could be pretty gnarly if it's getting pushed back, ever closer to the impeding pressure of The Last of Us 2. People are concerned that they are already too similar with the third-person post-apocalyptic setting, and therefore would benefit from as much separation as possible. The Last of Us 2 doesn't even have an expected date yet, so they could still be yonks away. It's what have I written here? Cool. And it is also the date that does ring some bells, with the end of April it being pretty much the end of Sony's financial year. And maybe it was a situation of, quote, this is a quote I've made up in my head, look, we'll give you more time, but it has to come out this financial year, period. And this does make me wonder about the future of Sony Bend. They do have some good history behind them, like Siphon Filter, and some good recent wins with Uncharted Golden Abyss, but that was 7 years ago, man. I don't think they will close I don't think they'll be closed if Days Gone goes poorly, but it is certainly possible. Let's hope their pedigree gives them at least one more title, and if Media Molecule can stay open, and Ben should be fine. So I'm a little bummed. I'm really a little bit bummed. I'm very interested in Days Gone. I think it could be really cool. It has potential to be something amazing. But it does seem to be just getting buried and just moved. I'm worried. Obviously, there's something that's not quite working with it, whether it be in how it's running. It's got to be something. Something isn't right. With the PS4 not having a whole bunch of titles to fill it out, I can't see why Sony would want to hold this back. Like, unless they're just killing time until, sort of June next year, and if they are going to announce a PS5 or something, or they're just kind of killing time until The Last of Us or Death Stranding, that's the only reason they would need to keep pushing it back. But there's a big downtime here where there's nothing. Like, literally between September and now April, there's not much. Like, there's almost no exclusives at that point. It's a bit of a bummer, and it's a bit of a weird one to have There's a bit of weird space there. There's a bit of time where, like, 2017, there was nothing during that period. It was very quiet over Christmas, and looks to be doing the same here again, doing all front loading the start of the year. But I don't know. It's a weird choice. Paul James jumps in. He does say Media Molecule and Bend are hanging in by a thread, and they do need something to go their way. That's true. Now, one thing so Joel and I have been talking in our social medias, and one thing that he mentioned that I think is very, very important, something we should probably take into account, is that Dreams is setting up to be somewhat of a platform. It's the idea of it's a creative venture. So it has legs. So if for any reason, although the single player or the campaign may not be that good, there's enough background product there to keep it going past that date, and therefore include more sales and potentially open up for DLC, expansions, microtransactions, etc. But Days Gone has a problem. If that single player is poo, they've got nowhere to go, because no one's going to want to buy, if it rates poorly, no one's going to want to buy DLC for it. Now, some of the big diehard PlayStation guys like myself, we're going to pick it up regardless, right? I like Sony Bend from like Siphon Filter. Golden Abyss was good. I'm not super stoked on these guys as a studio. I want them to prove themselves in this space. It could go in the same vein as Guerrilla, and just out of nowhere become this amazing thing. But Joel jumps in. He also adds, it wouldn't shock me if Dream sneaks into the Q1 slot and they just get it out, quote unquote, and it's being demoed now and has the Game Informer coverage. I thought the Game Informer coverage may have announced release date. It is also weird that Dreams doesn't have a date as well, so it is very likely they might sneak them in there and take out that Q1 release. It would make sense, start of the year, kind of quiet, but not quiet because they've got the big games coming up. But it does hit a different market compared to those other games, and that'll work to its advantage. Paul jumps in. He says Dreams needs to be a PS5 game. If it's a platform end of gen, is a horrible time because it won't have time to gain legs. That's true. Now, there has been a number of interviews with the guys over at Media Molecule, and they have talked a lot about cross-platform. Cross-generation stuff. So I think even if it does come out in PS4, they do have a number of plans for it to jump over to PS5, which makes sense. They've already said it's going to be a cross-gen tool. Yep, cool. There you go. Pretty much confirmed what I said. So Joel's added, they've already confirmed that it is going to be a cross-gen tool. It is all cloud-based, and the creation and playing of the levels will be able to be played on your PS5 and beyond. I think last I heard they had like a 10-year plan or something with 10-year plan with Dreams. And there is not 10 more years of the PS4, so let's hope they have something to bring it over to PS5. That'd be pretty cool. Next, I've titled this one, That's a Lot of Data. People can find it all they want. It looks like the digital future is here, for games at least. And there is data to prove it. In a report from Sandvine, whoever they are, 2.7% of the global internet traffic is from PlayStation software downloads. That doesn't seem like a lot, but with the almost 8 billion people that's on the planet, that's like 216 million people downloading one thing. But I'm not sure that math checks out. Impressively, Netflix does take up a whopping 15%, which I'm sure around 8% of that is just from my wife. She's a big fan of Netflix. We never not have Netflix on in this house, or Stan really. So no, it's mostly Stan because my son is in love with Paw Patrol, and we have watched those 3 seasons just relentlessly at this point, and like it's astounding how many times you have to watch that. But yeah, so that's massive for Netflix. I think Blockbuster are kicking themselves in the butt, not jumping in on that. Joel says Pornhub, 75%. They didn't mention the percentage of the porns, but I imagine it's quite substantial. I don't know, it's a bit cool fact. Now, I noticed in that report it didn't mention anything about Xbox or Switch or anything like that. Now, with 80 million consoles on the market or out and about, it makes sense why the downloads why the percentage is that high. Pardon me. Speaking of 80 million consoles, but you need to keep those bad boys up to date. So, this week, Sony released PS4 firmware update 6.02, and you'll never guess what it provided. More system stability. And that's literally all it says in its details. However, with a recent issue with PSN messages that would brick your console on... So that would just brick your console. This is likely a fix for that, as a statement was given. We are aware of the situation and are planning a system software update to resolve this problem. So apparently there was these messages going around through the PSN that if you clicked a link or you answered or in some way, there was some sort of gateway there that would just brick your console and you had to return it to factory settings, losing everything you have on there. Now, once again, cloud saves, internet, not too bad, just an inconvenience and really fucking annoying. I think I may have received one of these messages, just deleted it because I'm pretty sure it was like, hey, I'm sexy, want to get some, and I'm like, no, I don't want some, so we're fine. But yeah, so I do wonder whether, like, I think this patch alone is simply for this little gateway, little fix. It's certainly not gearing for the name change stuff. Now the name change stuff is out in the open, I think when that update comes, it will be in the patch notes. I don't see them any reason why not to have that in there. Next bit of news, as I've titled, who even buy COVs anyway? Everyone, apparently. Call of Duty Black Ops 4 has reportedly had more active players in the first 3 days than Call of Duty World War II and Black Ops 3, and has made over $500 million dues so far. According to a press release from Activision, the combined number of Black Ops 4 players across its three modes, that's competitive, multiplayer, zombies, and blackout, has surpassed that of Call of Duty World War II and Call of Duty Black Ops 3, single player, multiplayer, and zombies modes. Black Ops 4 has also reportedly set franchise records for most combined players, average hours played, and total number of hours played on the current generation of console in its first 3 days. It also received a series record high of Twitch viewers for a Call of Duty opening weekend. Quote, Black Ops 4 is off to a blockbuster start, said Rob Kosch, GM of the Call of Duty franchise. Our player counts and hours played are up over year. Our viewership on Twitch has set new standards and is showing just how fun Blackout is to play and to watch. And the weekend results yet again put Call of Duty at the highest tier of entertainment. The $400 million that Black Ops 4 earned includes sell-through figures for retails and digital units, as well as season pass sales. So though this is massive, World War II also hit that mark in 2017, doubling Infinite Warfare sales, which we'll get to that in a second. And Black Ops 3 earned $550 million in the same time frame, becoming the biggest entertainment launch of 2015 up until that point. Fuck. So everyone shits on Call of Duty and they're like, hey, I ain't picking it up this year, and no one fucking plays it anyway. Call of Duty is dead. No one plays it. Every year, man, there is just new numbers. There is new data. Now, it could all be just PR spin, of course, but there's always seems to be new information that's saying that Call of Duty isn't dead and Call of Duty is just getting bigger, better, and more popular. I think Blackout very, very, very much has the key reasoning here. So Battle Royale is still incredibly popular, and they want to get on this. People want to see what Activision and Treyarch can do to that game mode, and they've done something really, really great. Like there's something about Blackout that is amazing. It's essentially a better, cleaner, more polished version of PUBG, and that's what's going to bring people across. The big difference is it does have that $60 entry point, but the regular multiplayer is solid. The zombie mode is solid. I'm actually really impressed with Black Ops 4 as a bundle. I thought I'd be a little bit disheartened knowing they don't have a campaign, but the numbers say different. And everyone was I remember everyone was bitching like, why would they remove the campaign? It clearly hasn't hurt them. If anything, they're probably going to have a better result because of it. And that's one of the reasons they did it. Multiplayer is effing huge these days. Next up is Grand Theft Australia. Grand Theft Auto Australia? ? Now, I did pull this. This article is word for word from IGN. I wanted to make sure that we didn't miss any of the specifics. Rockstar Games and its parent company Take-Two Interactive filed a court case that resulted in the search of 2 Australian residents connected to individuals allegedly responsible for creating and selling a popular cheat for Grand Theft Auto 5. Originally reported by Torrent Freak via Kotaku Australia, the Federal Court of Australia issued a search warrant for 2 Melbourne residents in September, linked with the creation and distribution of the infamous set of cheats for GTA 5. Those involved have been restrained from, quote, developing, distributing, or selling these cheats, and can suffer prison time if they don't comply. The, quote, infamous cheat allowed users to teleport, generate currency, use a super jump, and generate reputation points. Create copies of virtual goods and in-game objects, and give the player unlimited ammo, weapons, and vehicles. Here's a video... Once again, it reportedly went offline over half a year ago, though it was being sold for $40 US before this. The court also ordered the assets of 5 people involved with the cheat to be frozen, though this was later changed to focus on a single individual, effectively lifting many of the suppressions issued to the others. Those involved have not yet filed a formal defense, though the court is scheduled to convene later this month. Oh, Australia. Look what you can do. Man, it's kind of gnarly. I remember, so with, I think it was PopC or Fortnite. I remember like there was some legal action around someone cheating in that game. It was that 12-year-old boy or whatever it was. Now we've got this. Like, game cheating is getting super serious all of a sudden. And with the online marketplace and so much money up for grabs, it makes sense why these companies are willing to chase down people. I'm very curious on how they were able to swing that with Australian law, though. Joel jumped in back to the Call of Duty. He says, yep, if anything, I think it's cemented that no Call of Duty game will have a campaign ever again. And that I agree. And Joel also adds, see, that's what happens when you send all the convicts to one place. What do you expect? We're Australian, man. We're a country that's formed on criminals. We glamorize criminals. And a game that's about glamorizing criminals, we're going to get it. We're going to understand. You know what? And we're going to crime in that crime game. No, it's a weird line. I'm glad that they're getting done for doing the cheats, especially if they're making money off said cheats, because that's some double trouble there. That gets them a little bit more extra in the bad books. I know I pretty much literally put that one in there just because it was Australian. Rounding up news before we jump into the main topic. We have the best-selling games for the week ending 14th of October 2018. Number 10 was Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy. Number 9 was UFC 3. Number 8 is Grand Theft Auto 5. Number 7 is Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Number 6 is NBA 2K19. Number 5 is WWE 2K19. Number 4 is Marvel Spider-Man. Number 3 is FIFA 2019. Number 2, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and number 1, to no surprise, Call of Duty Black Ops 4. Very easy list. Oh, speaking of Marvel Spider-Man, though, I think the latest patch, 1.08, has dropped. It offers New Game Plus. Excuse me. It pretty much gets it ready for the Heist DLC coming next week, I think. Yeah, you check that out. I didn't see when that drops. As well as offering some more inclusions in photo mode, including a puddle sticker. So in a move that's just fucking hysterical. Yeah, so in the photo mode you can now add puddles. So if anyone that had a problem with the lack of puddles in your game, in the Spider-Man, you can now add more puddles, and everyone can shut up about it. It's fantastic. Paul James does confirm. Yep, it is October 23rd. Big thumbs up there. I am very close to getting the plat still. I haven't gone back to Spider-Man yet. I do have some time. My thumbs afternoon, if not tomorrow. I'm going to sit down, listen to a podcast, and just kick out the last area, get the last little parts done. Yes, that pretty much brings us now to our main topic. So this is the segue that I can't remember how Josh does it. The segue is so that's the news. Now it's time to chat to the players, and this week we are chatting to you lovely people about Red Dead Redemption 2. So Red Dead Redemption 2 is literally less than a week away at this point. So at time of recording, and when this episode goes live, it's days away. Now, Red Dead Redemption 2 has been in the media ether, the gaming ether, for the better part of about 2 years at this point. So I was thinking, what we do is we just collate a bunch of information and really just narrow home what we've got coming into what would be Friday, so getting all the information, condensing it down so that way you have as much as you need before you go in. Let's see. So, kicking things off. So, of course, Red Dead Redemption 2 is the follow-up to 2010's Red Dead Redemption on the PS3. It does focus on Dutch's gang, which was the gang that the previous protagonist, John Marsden, was a part of. Let's see. Here we go. So, here is the story synopsis. So it's America, 1899. The end of the Wild West era has begun. As lawmen hunt down the last remaining outlaw gangs, those who will not surrender or succumb are killed. After robbery goes badly wrong in the western town of Blackwater, Arthur Morgan and the Vandalin gang are forced to flee. With federal agents and the best bounty hunters in the nation massing on their heels, the gang must rob, steal, and fight their way across the rugged heartland of America in order to survive. As deepening internal divisions threaten to tear the gang apart, Arthur must make a choice between his own ideals and loyalty to the gang who raised him. So this already does have some differences compared to Red Dead Redemption 1. Obviously, being the big one is you are still in the gang at this point. With Red Dead Redemption 1, you are as John Marsden. You have been hired to just take out the rest of your gang. You need to bring Dutch and the guys in. But over the course of events, it's gonna be bad. What got going on in the chat here? So Joel says, I might pick this up at PAX. I assume the EB Megastore should have it for sale. Yeah, they will. I can only imagine they will, and they'll be selling it probably at a reasonably cheap price, as would be like Harvey Norman, all the other guys that have stalls. Paul says they expect to sell 10,000 copies at PAX, so I've heard 10,000 copies just at PAX. Whoo! Gnarly. My personal copy, I've paid mine off. I bought the special edition one that comes with the map and stuff, and the steelbook. My wife is getting that for me because I'll be at PAX, so I'm going to get her to run and pick that up for me. Let's see. So one of the things, so I'm pulling a lot of this information from a Polygon article that sort of collates everything. So they've sort of curious as to whether this will demonstrate where Marsden gets captured and then is forced to then hunt them all down. In terms of the story, that is literally all we've been given at this point. Rockstar are incredibly good at keeping tight-lipped about all the details. Now, there has been a couple of trailers showing it off. Yes, there has been some trailers showing off the gameplay, but nothing has really driven home the story as of yet. There was a launch trailer that went up a couple of days ago at time of recording, but even then that kept pretty vague. It was just enough details to get you excited and almost kind of repeating on what you already knew. Let's see. So as mentioned, you will see the other members of the Vandalin gang. This does include Bill Williamson and Javier Escuela, who are the gang members from the first Redemption, and a character called Uncle. I wonder if they'll be open during the media hour. At EB Expo, the Megastore was not open during the media hour. Sadie Adler, the woman who featured prominently in the gang in the trailer. Newly announced gang members include Lenny, Karen, Michaela Bell, Sean McGuire, and Pearson, who have all been named in previews. So, one of the big things that we need to look into is what we'll be expecting from this game. So, in the gameplay trailers, they have shown that it is mostly the same bones as Red Dead Redemption 2, and that includes being a cowboy, doing cowboy things, riding horses and throwing ropes and all that sort of stuff. They have added to what appears to be a lot more RPG elements to this game, with hunting, with running a small community, and one of the big things they've brought in from GTA 5 is heists. So now as a gang, you can rob trains, you can rob banks, you can do all that sort of stuff. That is the one thing I love about Rockstar Games, is every game prior helps affect the new coming game. So as in, like, when you play GTA San Andreas as an example, like, the targeting system is straight out of Manhunt. Like, they use the games to iterate, and then they use that iteration to help iterate again in the next one. Like, it's a really nice chain. I was going to say a loop, but it's not a loop, it's more of a chain. It's a nice chain that's connecting all the games together, and you can sort of see that progression over time. And it also does add that strong sense of familiarity, that you remember how to play from the previous game. With that being one of the Deadeye mode, which gives your character like Matrix level shooter guns. That will also be returning as well. Joel says they've added a lot of busy work and small systems that I care nothing about. For that, likely barely touch more than I have to. I don't know. I agree with you there. They have a lot of busy work, a lot of RPG things that just seem relatively unnecessary, like hunting and people management and that sort of stuff. And I don't know how that will go. I'm curious to see how it will go. But I loved Red Dead Redemption 1, so it's very likely that I'll fall into this and love it just as much. Let's see. Well, of course, the multiplayer, with the success of GTA Online, it was no question that Red Dead Redemption would bring in an online multiplayer system. It has been confirmed that it won't launch until November, late November, given about a month after the initial release, which they did do a GTA Online as well. Which makes sense. They want people to get that story. They want people to get that campaign in before they then go throw all their time into the multiplayer. Like, this isn't Call of Duty here. They want people to experience that campaign. They spent 7 years building this game. They want to make sure that it's tight. One of the big things that everyone starts to ask is how big is the map? It's not really known at this point. There is yet to be any leaks about the map. The only thing that that's noted is in the synopsis, they mentioned that Blackwater was a western town, where in Red Dead Redemption 1, Blackwater was on the east coast. Sorry, the east side of the map, if I remember right. So it looks as if we're shifting from the sort of Mexican, sort of like that it wasn't Texas. It was like, because it was the Mexico border. You can go across. So it looks like they're shifting. For you guys, it's shifting that way. For me, it'd be that way. I know the mirror images of video and stuff. So it looks as if they're shifting everything to the east, which would be good. So it's going to be a whole new towns, whole new area, and it allows them to go through a bunch of different biomes, I guess, for lack of a better word. So in the trails, we have seen snowy mountaintops, we've seen deserts, we've seen muddy areas, we've seen forests. So it looks like they're going to be heading into more of the Midwest sort of area, which is sort of like your mountains and your mountain ranges and stuff. So I'm thinking Colorado, but then that Colorado is even more north again, so maybe not on those ones. What else? I think that's pretty much all in terms of what that article can offer. Now, there are some more specific details that have come out for Red Dead Redemption 2, and one of them is, and I've titled it, it's big. A week out from release, Rockstar Games has confirmed the size of Red Dead Redemption 2. The game will come in at a whopping 99 gigabytes, plus you will also need an additional 50 gig free for the installation process. For many, that's the fifth of their hard drive space if you have a 500 gig model. This could potentially be the largest game to hit the PlayStation 4 to date. Thankfully, preloading is available at the time of recording, and because downloading will be arse, especially with our poo Aussie internet. Rockstar have come in and they've got us covered. The physical version is looking to come with not just one disc, but 2 discs. Another drink, sorry. First spotted on the back of a Japanese PS4 bundle box, and then supported with a shot on the inside of a steelbook. It does appear that there was a guaranteed 2 discs for Red Dead Redemption 2, one being a data disc and one being the playable and data disc. And outside of collections, I think the Quantic Dream collection, which was Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls, that was a 2-pack. Sorry, a 2 disc in the 1 pack. It's almost unheard of up until this point with PlayStation. So after some further investigation, though, I have found that there are Blu-rays that can house higher than 100 gig on a single disc. However, the PS4 Blu-ray drive, whatever the hell, is only capable of reading double-layered 50 gig Blu-rays. So in order to not be a dickhole about it and give you 1 disc and force you to download 50 gig, they have done the good guy thing and put them on 2 discs. Unlike Call of Duty Black Ops 4, which I'm pretty sure the disc had the better part of like 74 kilobytes on it or something. That does bring into a question that Max Cooper provided, and he says, seeing the demand and popular... nope. That's not the one. Where'd it go? Where is it? There was a question there from Max. Let's see, Facebook. His question was along the line of, what's the point of even buying physical games anymore? And that part I agree with. Here we go. Max, 1 hour ago. Sorry, guys. I thought I grabbed them all. Maybe I did not. Max says, your thoughts of game size and how it's affecting physical copies of games. Red Dead 2 reportedly on 2 discs, as we mentioned, was with a 97 gig download through PSN. His is already done. Benefits preloading. Or Blops, where you buy a disc, but you still need that 50 gig. And what's the point of even buying a disc then? That I completely agree with. It's an interesting it's an interesting place to be, because we are moving towards a more digital future, like Max has, and he has downloaded it all already, so he's ready to go. As games get bigger and as games get more detailed and more and just larger, and as we get into higher fidelity games, it is going to take more time. It's going to take more space on discs. Like if you think back to PS1, PS2, PS3, every generation has had a game that's required multiple discs simply due to its size. Like if I remember right, in PS3 they were maxing out those single layer Blu-rays already. So like I think it is a sign of the times, and it also does show a hardware issue with the current generation of console. They would have assumed this was coming. Maybe they assumed it would be coming a little bit later, or they're also doubling down on the fact people are buying more digital, as the earlier data that I mentioned states. It's a weird space. It's a weird place to sort of to tread that line. I personally think it's a little bit bullshit that it's not on the disc. I'm perfectly okay with day one updates, but I strongly disagree with, especially with what Call of Duty did with the idea of here's something and then you have to download 50 gig. That's kind of fucked. That's literally them not putting something on the disc. Unquestionable. In the same vein of like Spyro, they're like, hey, here's Spyro 1 on disc, and then 2 and 3 you have to download, which they've thankfully gone back on, which is nice. What else have I got here? Let's see. Ooh, and something that's very interesting. It's only going to be the big guys in the US that are selling the title on release day. Several smaller retail stores have stated that they won't be receiving copies of Red Dead Redemption 2 well until November. This could come from a couple of reasons. The additional production restraints from dual discs may be one of them. Or small retail stores potentially being known to breaking street date is another. However, many large stores like Target have also been known to break dates too. Paul jumps in and says, we're all pretty privileged to have good internet connections that allow us to go digital if we choose. Many still don't have the luxury yet. That's true. I'm very lucky. I live in a new estate. I have fiber to the premise NBN. I have some of the best internet that's available in the country at this time. So for me, going digital is not going to be an issue. But for many, many people and many of my friends, digital isn't an option at this point. And that 50 gig download almost made that game unplayable on day one. It was unplayable on day one, with many people taking 12, 15 hours to download just this patch. Like, that's bonkers. It's not unforgivable. It's pretty fucked though. Pretty fucked indeed. Yeah, so with Red Dead, I'm keen as mustard, and there was a question that came in from Joel as well. Let's see. Let me pull that over here because it's going to be quite a long one. He goes, long question, but it's about Red Dead Redemption 2. All jokes aside about the horse balls. Crap, I was trying to not talk about the horse balls. Do you think that having that level of detail in games is required? It is a cool headline for media outlets to talk about, but after the initial wow moment, smaller details can get forgotten. What are your thoughts about the level of these smaller details? How much sooner could the game have come out and been received well otherwise, and could the efforts of these teamwork and horse skills have been applied elsewhere? So where Joel's coming at from there is, there was a report not too long ago talking about how the horse's ball bag will fluctuate in its bagginess depending on the weather of the weather of wherever the hell you are in the game. It is a very cool detail. It's a completely unnecessary detail. My thing would have been if you're the person working there and you're like, what do you do? Oh, I work at Rockstar Games. Oh, what do you do? What do you do there? Like, well, that's fucking awesome. You work on Red Dead? Like, yeah, I was the guy that made the horse skills move. It's just in a weird place. Like, we are getting at a point now where visual fidelity is hitting almost a point of no return. Not a point of no return. What I'm looking for, like a plateau. Like, it's very unlikely we're going to be exceeding 4K anytime soon. And even if we did, what's the fucking point? So what developers are now heading towards is the idea of more more detail in that world. So not like, let's make this game fucking gnarly looking. They're like, well, let's just add more to it. Let's make it more in its systems and in its base mechanics, that sort of stuff, and its AI and all that sort of stuff. And then there's the horse balls. I love those little details in games. I think those little details are amazing. I think after the first initial wow factor, as you mentioned, they do kind of go and you forget about it. Now, unlike this little detail like making your horse poop on command in Metal Gear Solid 5, that's still funny today, but you don't, like, you just go and you forget about it. As we move into the next generation, I think these little details are what the games will be about, in terms of the world that we're building and those details and what that world is made of. I don't think it'll be as meticulous as Horseballs, but Rockstar, they have an edge. You know what I mean? Like, they do, there's things that they do just to be the guys that did it. And that comes down to like, they put things in their games they do because no one else will do them. Like Manhunt, as an example, is a game that no one else would have made. The game is literally a snuff movie, and there's no one else that would have made that game. Joel says, Horseballs is just one thing we know about, and there's likely a ton of other details we'll find in the game. Some of the details that I'm looking forward to, that I think will probably be around, and here comes my son again. Hi, son. Thank you for joining me as I say Horseballs a lot. For me, it's a little things like how fabric will move. Like, say you're sitting in a tent or you're near a tent, and how the wind moves the tent flaps and all that sort of stuff. That's, for me, is where it'll be. That's the details that I want to see, if that makes sense. I want to see the more world building additions, the more world building details. That's what I want to see fleshed out. Joel jumps in and says, I don't think anyone would have played the game and said, man, I wish that horse suffered realistic shrinkage. Like, no, I had that to be the case, unless it's a story element in some way, which I highly doubt. But speaking of people that have, man, this episode's all over the shop. Speaking of people that work at Red Dead Redemption, there has been a bit of a scandal this week, and we're going to jump on that to round out our Red Dead Redemption talk. Now, this one has come from. Sorry, Buds, and put that back over there. This one's coming straight from Push Square. The reason being, I wanted to not miss any details once again. Earlier this week, an interview with Rockstar co-founder Sam Houser sent shockwaves through the industry as he appeared to suggest that the studio had been working 100-hour work weeks in order to get Red Dead Redemption 2 out of the door. This, he later clarified, was not entirely the case, with only the senior writing team, including himself, so that was a team of 4 people, work such an intense schedule. In an unprecedented move, the firm has now allowed staff to comment publicly on social media about the issue. One particular woman, Vivian Langdon, a tools programmer at Rockstar San Diego, was one of the first to rally around the organization, but she's since been followed by a slew of other staff members, all defending the culture at the embattled label. Quote, I want to stress that this is my uncurated personal opinions. I'm not being compensated for this post in any way, and I'm making it voluntarily, she stated. I'm only going to speak to my personal experience, and I've never worked more than 50 hours a week, and that's the rare occurrence. But I generally work about 2 to 6 hours of paid overtime per week. And a lot of employees seem frustrated the company's name is being unfairly tarnished. A lot of employees seem frustrated at the company. Read that part already. Rockstar North's environment artist Wesley McKinder said, quote, this week my Twitter timeline has been full of guff. I've lost my spot. There it is. I've been at Rockstar for 6 years and I have never worked or have been asked to work anywhere remotely close to 100 hours in 1 week. He continued, it's been surreal to see people share their crunch stories, with the conclusion being Rockstar needs to change. When I've just been reading them thinking, I'm so glad I work at Rockstar and haven't done anything they have. No one is pretending that working extra hours is fun. Everyone tries their very hardest to avoid this. And in my experience, it has gotten better over time. Let's see. Meanwhile, an anonymous Rockstar employee did reach out to VG247, airing their grievances at some of the speculation surrounding the organization. Quote, it's been pretty frustrating seeing the company portrayed this week as a hellish place to work. It's really not. We're rewarded well, and crunch is never mandatory. It's very interesting. Now, if you go to player2.net.au and their Twitter account, their YouTube account, you will see Paul James, his episode of The Insider, talking about this exact issue. And I'm going to pull a couple of points from his video. One of them being, when it comes to a 100-hour week, you're either working 20 hours? Yeah, 20 hours a day with leaving 4 hours for sleep if you're doing a Monday to Friday, or you're doing just over 14 hours a day, including weekends. That's bonkers. That's unnecessary. And on top of that, I remember reading somewhere recently that there was a study done on about effective hours of work and whatnot. And for any hour, like if you work over 50 hours a week, you just see a drastic decline in productivity. Like there is no benefit in working more than 50 hours. Your body just cracks it. So I don't know why they're doing that. And one of the things that Paul also mentions as well is the idea that previously in the last decade or so, that crunch has been worn as a badge of honor, saying we did so many hours this week, we game developed so hard, we developed way better than any other developer that's ever developed. And that part I understand. There is any terms of creative outlet, whether it be games, art, whatever, right? There is a sense of pride in how much work you put into that product. And then you look at it like, this took me X amount and I'm so proud of every second that I've put into it. And I still think that to be the case now. And like, that's fine. And with a company like Rockstar, I guarantee you these guys are being paid, guys and girls are being paid tremendously well for their overtime. Like if they're getting forced unpaid overtime, like I think Telltale were on the line of don't quote me here. I think they were some unpaid overtime as well. Like they're unpaid at all now, but yeah, he's throwing the shit out of that match play with a pen. It's fine. It's old. So if there was unpaid overtime, yeah, that would be a big issue. Now, I know on top of that, these guys will very likely get a nice bump when Red Dead Redemption 2 comes out, and it does well, which it will, and they will get a lovely bonus. Now, does that make it okay? Fuck no. Of course it doesn't make it okay, as I swear in front of my child. As they've said, no one is forced to do that many hours a week, nor should they be expected to. Apparently, one of the things that they were doing is they were scheduling overtime. It was more of an opt-out. So they would force you to do overtime, and then you had to opt out of doing that. My old workplace used to do exactly that as well. They would always opt you in for public holidays, and you had to opt out. So the idea would be like, oh, I don't want to work on public holiday, and they're like, oh, really? You don't want to work on public holiday like everybody else is? It's a bit of a psychological thing to try psych you out of opting out. I fucking hated my job, so I was like, I don't want to work here. I don't want to work on a day-to-day basis, let alone public holidays. So I had no issue turning down overtime, turning down public holidays and that sort of stuff as well. So I think it's a different thing. Now, one of the other things that Paul mentioned as well was the idea that if you go to leave the office, you've done your 9 to 5, it's 5:05, you get your bag, you walk up, and you see your boss is still sitting there working away, and you feel that obligation to do that. Now, I understand that, like that there is a work ethic in that as well. For me, nah. Granted, these guys would have been paid for that overtime. That's the big thing. I'm like, nah, 9 to 5, I'm here to 5, I'm out of here. That's pretty much how it works. Like, I have a family that I want to come home to and all that sort of stuff, and I'm sure all these people are the same as well. I do certainly think it does hinder progression in a lot of workplaces, and I imagine Rockstar is the same, but some sacrifices are just kind of worth anyway. All right, bud. Yeah? You broke all the things? Man, I've talked for a really long time, like non-stop. This is quite difficult. Hey, bud. But yeah, so my thoughts on the situation. In no way would have I expected everyone to in that office be working 100 hours. Do I think it's greatly been blown out of proportion? Hell yeah, it's been blown out of proportion. I do sort of agree with the likes of Colin Moriarty, who's mentioned on Twitter that, the games media jumped on that story as it happened, and then when a response was given that would that corrected that and justified that, and then they still chose to ignore that and run down the anger train, like that internet anger mentality that's going on, right? If you apply any logic to that, you'd be like, there is no way that the entire company will be forced to 100 hours. Like, that's very illegal, and sort of stuff like that. So I'm not vehemently angry about it. I do think it's part of it's kind of bullshit, but then again, these are the seniors, these are the heads, these are the founders of Rockstar Games, like your Dan Houser and whatnot. Like, these guys live and breathe this company. It's their company in their heart and mind. Like, granted, it's owned by Take-Two or whatever, but for them, it's not a daily job. For them, it's more. So I'm not surprised by them wanting to do more and then doing more. But with the expectation that that's stuff, like the what's the term that gets used for the internet? It's like the pile-on mentality. It's the outrage culture. There it is. It's that outrage culture that lives on the internet right now, and I think this whole Rockstar debacle falls in line with that, and I think they just jumped on it because they could. Like, they fixed it in a couple of days with a response. Like, granted, I think it was over a weekend, so it was an initial response, but there was a response, and it was in a reasonable time, and it fixed the issue. Fine by me. Fine by me. Now I'm just rambling. So we're gonna wrap it up there. But in terms of Red Dead Redemption 2, I am super keen to get in on that game like something bad. Now because of PAX, we're in the city on the Friday night, so I won't get to play it until Saturday night, which will be a late one anyway. So probably won't get a whole bunch of time with it. But I'm very keen, and I'll maybe sneak some time off. You can see your face, can't you, buddy? You can see, oh, sorry for those listening to the audio. My son's doing silly faces with the camera. But yeah, so will I think this is going to be the be all end all of games? I think it might be. I think this game looks to be something awesome. But 60 hours of gameplay is a lot. I'm a big fan of smaller stories, but yeah, he's having a great time with that video camera. 60 hours is good. I think I'll chip it off over time. I'm really keen for this game. Keen for this game a lot. I'm running out of words, so I'm going to quickly jump into some community questions, and then we'll wrap this up. Now, do you want to go back to Mummy? Yeah, go to Mummy. Thanks, buddy. No, just go to... don't take the headphones, just go to Mummy. You want to take that with you? There you go, take that to Mummy. Yeah, sure, you can take the mouse pad too, why not? Go stab the mouse pad somewhere else. Thank you, buddy. Pull your pants up. Bye. Can you please pull that door shut? Molly, thanks. Joel says, one last question for the Ever. What are you most excited for at PAX as we jump into that community question? So, segue. Now that's out of the way, we're going to jump into our community questions where people like yourself, anyone that does watch this video, watch our videos, can jump in and get all up on the show in a section we call From the Players. We hear your questions. Joel says, as mentioned in the chat, what are you most excited about at PAX? For me, it's hanging out with people, man. Like, I really enjoy hanging out with people. I enjoy the con. I enjoy being media at a con. It feels good. It's fun to run around and do all that stuff. Like, I loved EB Expo. EB Expo is fantastic, and I'm really keen to spend some more time. This episode's gonna be super long. By myself, super long. It's really hard when you can't edit yourself. And co-op drinks, says Paul. He's very excited for them co-op drinks. Lee Vivian asks a couple of questions, and I'll tear through them nice and quickly. He goes, what's your opinion on mini consoles, and what would you like to see on the PS1 Classic? Now, there is an episode we did a while back about the PS1 Classic, and the two key games that we want on there are Harvest Moon Back to Nature and Shame on Cricket 99. Do you think there is much life left in PS4 exclusive or at least AAA titles for the rest of the Xbox One and PS4 generation that haven't already been announced? I don't think there'll be any more games exclusives announced for the PS4. I think up until Death Stranding, that's it. Like, it's literally very quiet up until then. Like, there's a reason there's no PSX this year. It's because they have simply nothing to announce. There's nothing. There'll be still minor exclusives, but none of your big tentpole exclusives. He brings a question about game streaming. He says, how much of a change do you think game streaming is going to affect the sales of mainline consoles? And do you think they'll be phased out by streaming consoles? Like, one of the things that Xbox has talked about was the Xbox Scarlet, I think it was. The idea of a console that there's no physical drive, it's all streaming. I think that will be coming around the corner. With the majority of game players being like us in Australia, we don't have that quality internet. I think it'll have there'll be smaller markets of it. I don't think physical games are gone just yet. They are dying, but not just yet. I might come out one another day. Ooh, Buddy Watson jumps in and gives us a fuck, marry, kill situation. The three choices are God of War, Spider-Man, or Detroit. So I have to fuck, marry, and kill each one of these franchises. Well, I love God of War. That game is fantastic. I do think I'm going to marry God of War. I love that franchise. As you can see, I've got statues, toys. I have an axe on my wall over there. My console looks like one of the trolls from the game. I'm marrying God of War. I am fucking Spider-Man because he's buff and all those bendy things that he could do. And then I'll kill off Detroit. Detroit was great. Really enjoyed the game. Even though I would kind of like to get gnarly with like Marcus and Connor. Pretty cool dudes. And Kara's pretty cool. But yeah, no, sorry Detroit. You're dead. Let's see. Let's see what else we got. Now, Jody Howard jumps in and says, best or top picks for a spooky Halloween game. Ooh, some key spooky games for me would have to be Until Dawn is a great one. It's a great storytelling spooky game. Outlast 2 had some really good jump scares and spooks. Classic Silent Hill 1 and 2. Can't go past them. Oh, actually, and Silent Hill 3 as well. They're really good spooky games. I remember getting such a gnarly adrenaline rush out of Silent Hill 2. Some spooks. Some other spooky games. If you want to get more recent, obviously you want Resident Evil 7. Is a very good spooky game. Oh, my computer just yelled at me. So I think, someone followed us on Twitch. How awesome. Excuse me. Let me think. What else is there? Here They Lie in VR was fantastic. That was really spooky and really gnarly. Joel mentions PT. PT is an incredible spooky game. If you, there are ways to get a hold of it. If you already have it on your account, you could do a bit of bypass, a bit of a sneaky IP gateway path, and you can get yourself a download. Alrighty, now that brings us to the final part of the show called Coming to the Players, where we literally read you the drop. So these are the drops of the games that are coming out between now. From October 23rd, so from Monday. Now, once again, this is the US list of games, so not all of these will make the way to the Australian PlayStation Store. Number 1 is Bugs Box VR, PSVR, Castlevania Requiem, Symphony of the Night and Rondo of Blood on PS4, that is digital. It's out on the 26th. It's out on the Friday. Experience 2 of the greatest games from the famous Castlevania series. Get to the top of Dracula's castle as the descendant of the famed clan of vampire hunters in Rondo of Blood, or play as Dracula's son, Alucard, in Symphony of the Night. Chicken Range, PS4 and PS Vita. Grid Retro Enhanced, PS4 Digital. Halloween Fever, PS4 and PS Vita. Just Dance 2019 on PS4. Mind Labyrinth VR Dreams, not that Dreams. My Hero One's Justice, PS4 Digital and Retail. Never Out, PS4 VR. PSVR. Nickelodeon Kart Racer, PS4 Digital and Retail. Now, if my boy was still here, would he be peeing his pants right now? Paw Patrol on a roll, PS4 Digital and Retail. Paw Patrol is on a roll. No job is too big, no pup is too small. Join Ryder and all 8 Paw Patrol pups for 16 missions in 8 Pawsome Adventure Bay locations. Help the pups use their unique abilities to rescue friends and save the day. Man, I'm gonna get to that in a minute. Perils of Baking Refrosted, PS Vita, looks poo. And of course, Red Dead Redemption 2, PS4 Digital and Retail, out the 26th, which is the Friday. Red Dead Redemption 2 is an epic tale of life in the Americans' unforgiving heartland. The game's vast and atmospheric world will also provide the foundation for a brand new online multiplayer experience. Sky Hill on PS4, World Sudoku by Paugi, and that is it. Big standouts for this week are obviously Castlevania, are obviously the Spider-Man DLC, Red Dead 2, and Paw Patrol on a roll. I'm picking the fuck out of Paw Patrol. I want to play with my boy. I think you'll love it. Now, in terms of what you'll get from us, Red Dead Redemption 2 will be obviously we won't be getting that until release day, so there may not be any streams or anything from that. But maybe in the week after. We have reached out for Castlevania, so we will hopefully have some content depending on when that comes through. If we do happen to get it on the Thursday, we won't be doing anything Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, as we are in the city doing packs for all that. And Paw Patrol, I'm going to do what I can. Alrighty, and that brings us to the end of the show. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming and joining us in what was looking at that time there, a much longer show than I anticipated. I thought I wouldn't be able to talk this long and be able to get all the way through a big show like this by myself in person. But a big thank you to Joel and Paul, two of our lovely Patreon supporters, for coming in and joining the chat as always. As I mentioned, next week the episode will be delayed as we are off at PAX. Should be a lot of cool content coming out of there. So if you do happen to stumble across this video, subscribe, all that extra crap, and you'll get to see what we do with PAX. Now, as I mentioned, next episode of For the Players, with Josh being on his little sabbatical, we will be having Joel from Anagame, same Joel from the chat. He'll come in and we'll get to talk about our time with PAX, what we played, what we've been, who we spoke to, who we shook hands, what babies we kissed and hands we shook. It's going to be a very good weekend there. But if you like that PlayStation conversation, be sure to start that again. If you like the PlayStation conversation, head over to that PlayStation conversation happened each and every Monday at 9 a.m. on YouTube and 8 a.m. on all your podcast services. If you want to follow us some more, head over to the Facebook group at facebook.com/group/PopCulturists, where you can join us in chats. And of course, we are on Twitter. We are on Instagram. All the links are in the description below. And if you want to support us, head over to patreon.com/thepopculturists, where you can join us live, just like Paul, just like Joel. You can join that conversation and chat amongst us with the show. And of course, if you want to show your love for pop culturists on your body, you can get shirts like this, you can get phone covers like this, all the things with our junk on it, on a shirt, ready to go. And of course, we are on Twitch, twitch.tv/popculturists, all that sort of stuff as well. But until next week, I'm Ryan Betson, and that was a solo For the Players.